It appears when the president's tour of the Rift Valley was announced, many Kenyans switched off news from that part of the country. But actually, there was a lot of drama. I mean drama bin drama Arab drama that went down, especially in Kericho and Bomet counties. And if you want to know that that drama was serious, it has been followed up by a very stern statement and order from the CS Interior, Kithure Kindiki, who has directed the security boys in the area to immediately look for and arrest the financiers, the organizers of what? Of heckling, as well as the hecklers themselves during the president's tour of the area. And this is a first. Yet another first under the UDA government, UDA Kenya Kwanza, in the country called Kenya, in the Rift Valley, by a sitting president from the area. Oh yes. Now just a fascinating aside there. I had a very interesting question from a commentator on this channel the other day. And they asked me, Chris, do you mean the Kenya Kwanza government or do you mean the UDA government? What he was insinuating is, Chris, you're mixed up. And I was going to apologize for the mistake, but then I stopped myself. I really thought about it. In fact, I should ask you a question. Can you name one other affiliate party in the Kenya Kwanza coalition other than UDA? Name just one. You see what I mean? Bottom line, this is a UDA government with a few accompanying flower girls. That is really what it is. This is not like Azimio, ODM, a strong party, Jubilee, a serious party, Wiper, a serious party, NAC, quite a serious party, believe it or not. This is a different kettle of fish. And therefore, in my opinion, I believe saying the UDA government is correct. I know you may have a different opinion, but in my view it is correct because it is the reality. Anyway, what exactly happened in Bomet and Kericho County? And why should it concern us? I'm sure that's the question you're asking. And that is the question I will start by answering. And then we will go to the CS Kindiki statement, or rather order, directive, which in my opinion is very counterproductive. It'll boomerang back on the government, for sure. I will go into that a little later on this show. Now in Bomet and Kericho, what happened is that as soon as the respective governors of those counties stood up to address the people did not allow them to speak. They were heckled, they were booed. The crowd, Kenyans, did everything in their power to ensure that those people would not speak. Why? After all, they elected these leaders with their own votes. So what is the issue here? And to make matters worse, the president was there. Ruto was there. But the people did not care. They booed and heckled these elected leaders. And by the way, these leaders were elected under which ticket? Are they ODM governors? Of course not. Are they Wiper party governors in the Rift Valley? No. These are UDA governors. Now, I'm going to shock you. What unfolded in Kericho and Bomet? These Kenyans from the Rift Valley are trying to tell the rest of Kenya something. This is a message to the rest of us who don't hail from the Rift Valley, believe it or not. But I'll come back to that shortly. But first, let me clarify something to avoid any confusion. I have just told you that this is a first in the Rift Valley with a sitting president from that area. That is what I've just said. But it is also true that a president of the Republic of Kenya, hailing from the Rift Valley, has been heckled in the Rift Valley before. That is also true. So am I contradicting myself? No. What I mean is that this is the first time this thing has happened the way it has. And this time, it is a very serious, deadly message that nobody should ignore. Okay? And let me explain why this time it is different by starting with the other time when it happened. In the run-up to the 1997 presidential elections, the then president, the second president of the Republic of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, he was campaigning in the region. I believe it was in Kericho. He had just arrived even before he could address the people. Yeah, in his campaign trail. When he was heckled, people were shocked. Because in those days, you would never dare heckle anywhere near a meeting being attended by the President of the Republic of Kenya. Okay, that had never happened before. And I vividly remember that we Kenyans were very happy. In fact, we celebrated. We said, if Moi can be heckled in his own native Rift Valley, then Kanu is finished. And the opposition is going to win the 1997 presidential elections. That was the naive analysis from yours truly at that time. And I'm embarrassed. But you see, the learning process is the learning process. Before you can walk, you have to fall many times. Before finally, you learn how to walk. So it is life, the kawaida. But what happened? When Kenyans finally went to the poll, the people of Kericho, who had heckled Moi, the people of the Rift Valley, all voted for Moi to a man and a woman. To the utter shock of Mwai Kibaki, who had campaigned vigorously in the Rift Valley, and he had been cheered very enthusiastically and wildly. And judging from those cheers and the attendance in his meetings, you would be sure Mwai Kibaki is going to sweep at least Kericho and most of the Rift Valley. But that never happened. Folks, let us start by understanding a very simple truth. Those people who are heckling Moi in 1997 are the fathers and grandfathers of those who are heckling the governors in Bomet and Kericho a few days ago. That was a different generation. And the reasons were very different. The fathers and grandfathers were heckling Moi because they felt Moi's government had shortchanged them. That in all those years Moi had been in power, there had been very little, if any, development in the Rift Valley. That was the feeling of the people at the time. And therefore they heckled Moi as he was seeking his final term in office as president. It was a message to Moi. And the message was, we are not happy with you. Yeah. But then, they still ended up voting for him. Now, this heckling a few days ago was very different. First of all, the message was, Punda imechoka. Tumechoka. That was the clear message from that heckling. Now voters in that region are fed up, especially in Bomet. They are really fed up. And they're also fed up, and this is very important, they're also very fed up with the UDA party, especially because of the promises they were given during campaigns. Promises which have turned out to be nothing but hot air coming out of politicians' mouths, and they can't take it anymore. And in my opinion, that heckling was a very clear message to Ruto. We are fed up with UDA, we are fed up with your people, and we are fed up with you. That should be clear. Okay, of course UDA supporters will tell you something different. They will tell you they were heckling the governors. But then you need to ask them, why do that when the president is there? You will remember that a few weeks ago, Energy CS Davis Churchill was also heckled at a meeting where the president was in attendance. I'm sure you remember that. Do you think all this is a coincidence? Of course not. And this is where you must get it out of your brain. Get it out of your mind completely. That these heckling sessions, if I can call them that, are coincidences. They are not. You also need to get it out of your mind. Despite what Kindiki said in his directive, you must get it out of your mind that these heckling sessions are being financed or that they are being organized. My friends, it should be pretty obvious. These things are spontaneous. Now, what does that word mean? For the sake of those of us who are not Lusungu people, after all, this language came in the ships. Ilikuja na meli. I'll tell you what it means. It simply means that you are a local in the Rift Valley and you go for this political gathering and there's nothing you've planned to do. You just go. And then when you see the UDA colors, when you see the UDA leaders, and when you see the overall UDA leader, inakuuma until you cannot bear it anymore. You can't just bear it. And so you start heckling. You start venting your frustrations and your annoyance. Folks, believe me, this is precisely what is happening. And to be very honest, it should be a very, very scary thing for the UDA government. Very scary. You know, in politics, when you reach a situation like this, where people wamekushiba kabisa, wamekinai, they're fed up with you. When you reach that kind of situation in politics, the wisest thing is to remove yourself. Resign early. Because history tells us what will come later will be extremely ugly. Okay? That's not what Chris Kumekucha is saying. That is what history tells us very, very clearly. Again and again and again. And that is why this latest move by the government through the CS Interior, Kithure Kindiki, is just adding fuel to the fire. You know, we have said many times this is a perception government. And therefore maybe part of his message is to the rest of Kenya. So that we may think, or rather so that we may be convinced, that the heckling the Rift Valley has been financed by Raila Amolo Odinga. ODM people have gone to the Rift Valley and they've incited locals against the UDA. What? That may be the idea. Yeah. And there's something else. You never, ever, ever threaten our Kalenjin brothers and sisters. That one you don't do. Wabeberi walijaribu, walijua wajui. These are not people to threaten. Ati you want to scare them. Ati you are going to arrest people who heckled at the president's meeting. Are you serious? We're going to arrest those people who organized for that heckling. Those people who financed that heckling. And now you're trying to make our Kalenjin brothers and sisters scared of you. That is funny. For those of us who understand this community, that is a big joke. You don't threaten these people. That's the last thing you do. Because it is very possible that when you threaten them, they will show you they are not scared. And that one will not be nice. I can assure you. It will not be good for you. You know, I still sense there's still a few of us listening in today who are saying to themselves, Chris doesn't know what he's talking about. They're not fully convinced. And so, let me remind you of the words of a Rift Valley politician, a former legislator, Bwana Alfred Keter. He said that there's no petrol station different for UDA followers. There is no shop to buy unga that is different, where unga is selling at a lower price, for UDA supporters. Everybody is suffering the same fate under this government that sincerely, should be very clear by now, have no idea what they're doing. High fuel prices are hitting the Rift Valley in exactly the same way they're hitting all other parts of the country. The spiraling cost of living is hitting the Rift Valley just as hard as it is hitting the rest of Kenya. KRA officers, Kenya Revenue Authority officers, are hitting Rift Valley small businesses as hard as they're hitting small businesses all over the country. Bottom line, the Rift Valley is feeling the same pain that the rest of Kenya is feeling. So why should we expect them to have a different reaction? Why? Or you think it is because of the Mtuwetu syndrome? Tribalism? Well, let me tell you something that you may not know. Tribalism works very well when people have eaten 3 square meals. Tribalism works very well when life is okay. But kikiumana, when things get the way they are in Kenya today, tribalism and tribal spirits are forced to take a back seat, until the crisis can be resolved. The tribal spirits can come back later when we've sorted out the current crisis of people going hungry, of people being frustrated, of people being forced to shut down businesses, of children being very confused by a very confused educational system currently. When you've sorted out all those problems. Oh, and I forgot. And also the crisis of losing a fortune to corrupt county officials on a corrupt fake scholarship scheme. I'm sure you remember that. People sold their land. People sold tractors. People sold vehicles in order to pay into that scholarship scheme in Uasin Gishu County, the president's home county, so that the children could go overseas, Maju, Finland and other countries for further education, only for that hard-earned money of the people to be pocketed by county officials, by politicians. Some are even saying some of that money was used in campaigns. When that has been sorted out, then tribalism can come back. But as of now, tribalism ni wewe. You know, some people are saying, actually my mzee friend Hezron, they are saying that what has happened here is that the Ruto administration is very frustrated, because it is very difficult for them to address a rally anywhere else in the country. And therefore somebody came up with the idea, wacha tupeleke hizi rallies nyumbani. Yeah, surely nyumbani hatutapata shida. And then this is what happened. So imagine it was you. You really like addressing people, and people cheering you on, and people clapping for you. And therefore you decide to visit your home counties in the Rift Valley. And then instead of people cheering you on, you seem to have the same problem you're having in other parts of the country. How frustrated will you get? And this very wild allegation, seems to be confirmed by CS Kindiki's latest statement. That statement of threatening Kericho and Bomet residents suggests that somebody is getting very frustrated. What do you think? Please tell me in the comments area. But to me, it all makes sense. The unverified information seems to make sense, although it remains unverified. You know, there's a saying that you can never serve two masters. And it would seem that that is one of Ruto's problems. That is one of the problems of the UDA government that is really tying them down. Because there are those people who helped Ruto get to power. Very powerful people. And the deal was, we will help you, and then in return you do 1, 2, 3 for us. Okay? Now unfortunately that 1, 2, 3 that needs to be done for these people does not benefit the ordinary mwananchi in Kenya. Indeed, some of that 1, 2, 3 makes the ordinary Kenyan suffer even more. And you know, my latest highly sensitive special report has a lot of evidence to suggest that there is this tug of war going on. The people are crying for this, your sponsors are crying for that. And this evidence includes recent appointments made by this government. By the way, I still have a few slots left, so you can squeeze yourself in and get this highly sensitive information that opened my eyes. When you hear seasoned analysts say something opened their eyes, you had better sit up and pay attention, because it must be something major. And it is. Now you can see details on your screens right now. Take full advantage of it. Just a few more hours and I know we will hit the target of the maximum number of people that are supposed to have access to this special report. Use that M-Pesa number, use that PayPal number you see on your screens right now, and take action right away to avoid disappointment. But in summary, what I can say, hii maneno ya Kericho na Bomet, these are very heavy political issues, and they should not be taken lightly. It is a very clear sign of where this administration is going. Very clear. Whether you want to believe it or not, the evidence is continuously emerging to prove that yes, this is where this administration is headed. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.